today's video, we might as well jump right into it. But before we do, I'm thinking of changing it up. As you can see, I've got some notes here that I'm going to talk to you about before I turn it over and do this exploratory abstract journaling page. So, welcome to my channel if you haven't been here before. And this is where we're going to be diving in and learning all about mixed media, layering, different types of layering, art journaling, abstract art journaling, affirmation art journaling, which is just a wonderful, peaceful time to let go and just do and use what feels right with that intention. And I will be, that's sort of December's plan, and I've got my journey of 3 paintings coming up, but I just needed some more exploration first with this particular color palette and sort of my sequence of layers. This has been on my mind and it's been driving me crazy, actually. So let's talk about notes. So on the following page, I do have quite an intention, and my intention today is to just follow this sequence and see what happens. Because it's like, you know, learning all about particular words, but we haven't put them together in a poem or song or story. So to see how they look like and relate to each other, and that's what I'm really focused on, while keeping my color palette simple so that this can be more the focus. So my intention today is, and this is just a live recording, then I'm going to switch it to so I can speed it up and then just do that voiceover and guide you through my thinking process and art process after. So this is the first part of the video, and I want to start warm because I found this swatch or this leftover. I didn't make it as a swatch. It's just I think it's just mixed media paper. It might be the shiny Canson. I forget the name of the paper, but it's very smooth. So I started off with different, very thin colors, as you can see, marks, a lot of white, and I like that the lightness is shining through. And this really reminds me of my abstract landscape series that I'm trying to find and use this color palette, but in a much lighter value. So that's the goal. So let's see. It may or may not. I might find another. I might go down another path, but who knows? That's the intention. So I'm going to start with warm because I want to end up with mostly blue and aqua and turquoise. So I will be covering the colors and the warmth and all of that I want as a smaller ratio. So I think that makes sense. Then I'm going to add some white, maybe some blotching, maybe shapes, maybe stenciling, and they're here under the collage pieces. And I don't want to add collage until way down here, as you can see. So we're adding some warm colors. We're using white to just push them back a bit, change the values in different areas. Then I want to put in some shapes. You can use collage, and this is just my China marker. You can use just torn paper collage, and just for the sake of time, I think that's what I'll do. You could also use your color shaper or keep using your wedge, or if you want surprise shapes, you can also use a brayer, and put those little blobs of different shapes and roll them through and see what happens. But I've done that a lot, and I want to change it up. And I'm really loving the line and the drawing. After you have some soft background, white shapes, line is a beautiful difference. And we'll see. Then, as the piece will most likely be soft edges, lines that are pushed back, veiled, exposed, then you can come on in with some high contrast collage pieces. And I'm still not quite happy with mine, and that's what tomorrow's Facebook group video, Studio Sundays, is going to be about. So I'm going to just show some interesting ways to get some fast, quick, high contrast black and white collage papers. And then of course I'm going to add white or black, and I'll probably come in with softer edge because up here, or hard edge. And then lines, drips for interest, because there's nothing nicer to contrast your shapes and soft edges than lines. And then I'll show you glazing. And my glazing, I usually come in with a warm if it's needed, with a transparent quinacridone nickel azo gold, or Payne's gray, or any paint that you can thin down. And I usually use, for that, if it's not those two colors, I use gloss fluid medium, Liquitex, great stuff. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over now and start creating. And here we go. So as you can see, I previously taped this up with the half-inch white, it's artist tape. It feels a lot like masking tape. And I add the medium to the edges on the outside of the 8x10 and let it dry before I put the tape down. It still sticks, but it depends on how hot your dryer is. So that was just a little smudge with all the paint and everything, so I thought I'd clean it up before I get started. And you'll notice in the video, so please stay to the end, and you will see that I do not end up using the teal or the turquoise. I just feel I wanted to keep it very minimalist, even though, as I said in the beginning, my intention was that swatch of that very light color. I just think, looking closer now and really covering a lot of with the very first layer in yellow ochre, it started a whole different piece, which of course, hindsight, we'd all be way better off with hindsight, but that this is how we learn. And I realized that there was still a lot of white on that piece. And I'm really thinking that's what I'm aiming for. So I will eventually get to it. And now that I realize this, on YouTube, but hey, that's how I roll. And, this is the journey, and you're on the journey with me, mistakes, everything. It's all there. But in the end, I really liked how this one wanted to go. So I followed that path. So you never know, especially in abstract, in art journaling, because I'm more relaxed. I'm not worried about the outcome. I sort of let the outcome happen, because that's the whole point of exploring in our art journals, especially abstract, mixed media collage, mixed media abstract, whatever you want to call it. So then I decided I just, I use my wedge. Actually, I used my color shaper here. And now I'm just softening up a few of those marks as I'm trying not to overthink. Actually, I'm trying not to think at all. I'm just trying to respond. And especially when we're doing that, that's how these pages can take on a whole different path. And that's the exciting part about it. I'd like, though, a little more to start with an intention, to stay on that direction, as I said in the beginning, and list all those different, and I do apply the very similar layers as I spoke about in the sequence, but they're never going to be the same. So this is one thing that we need to learn, and we just need to add it to our repertoire of marks, shapes, layers, and everything. And the more experiences we have, the more we can access and go, oh yeah, it does this. I remember doing this. And but in the end, again, so stay to the end, you'll see the layers of collage, tissue paper, collage, and the line underneath. And that's the effect I've been looking for. So I partially got there, just not in the colors that I was expecting. So these are just the most fun little tools. They're for kids, and I'm really happy with the quality of the sponge on the end of a couple of them. I just wanted blotches, just to break up all the warmness. Now, I know that there's many other ways I could have done this. I could have squirted, put some lines on my palette there, lifted them with some paper, and then made a press stamp on the page, and did it maybe a couple of times. So I'll remember to do that next time, in so much of line and writing, and that would look really, really interesting along with these. And I like how my brayer took away the blobby kind of shapes that they had. So right now we're just drying away, and my next move is going to be some darks. And I don't know if you've made stencils, just any kind of shape with paper. I use newsprint just because it's really cheap. And I cut out the shapes, and then you can use light, you can use dark, you can use repeated shapes, depending on how large, how small you wanted. You can echo similar shapes throughout your work or throughout the page. So I'm going to do that next. So I was going to use my color shaper, and then I changed my mind to the stenciling, which I just spoke about. So I know I don't want them large, but one large one or two, or cropped. I love cropped shapes, and that's another thing that I'm experimenting with. So there we go. Gone off to find the scissors. And I found today was sort of a real wonky day. You ever have one of those days where you're just, well, why didn't I do that? Or how come I'm not as prepared? So I apologize for my slightly unpreparedness today. Who knows? Maybe it's just the change in weather, or I've got too much going on at one time. That usually does it. So I was going to do squares or rectangles, and I thought, no, let's just do like a rhombus or diamond, and then I can put them horizontal and vertical. So that was the plan. So I liked those two, but I didn't like the size because I wanted more repeated shapes on this page. And they are going to be black. That I know for sure. So I'm just making a little fold here. So I'm making them a little narrower, a little smaller, and you can have lots of fun. Just any scrap papers, news, magazine, anything. So I like those, and I do use those negative shapes as well. And I'm choosing the tool. So I'm choosing that one. I thought, you know what? No, I think I want something. Now it would have worked great, but I'm saving it for there's already another color on it, so it needed too much time to clean up, because we all know how sponges are great, but the paint really absorbs in there. So alternating, just trying to come up with a pattern, shapes and patterns. Not too worried about the edges. I like imperfection. Loving this alternating format and the cropping. Then I switch, I go, ooh, why don't I go horizontal? So let's check that out. I'm really liking how just putting it on, being fairly careful with the edges of the paper, having a dry brush or a drier brush, and just fitting them into these little spaces. I'm going to crop them. That didn't go. So I thought, oh, instead of using the same, I'm going to use the negative. And that's what I needed, the rougher sponge. Just putting a little shadow around. And I know that this is going to look really cool with other layers on top. So just in hindsight again, so starting soft, warm, or cool, whatever temperature you want to start with, even raw umber, or all blue, or very light blue, and then coming in with dark, contrast shapes. And I could have done some line after these shapes, before these shapes, throughout the whole background, and that really would have made it really interesting. I could have scored through some. Oh, there I go. And this is, of course, the, what is this thing again? We know it's the wax crayon. It's the China marker. And I really like that because I know you're going to be able to see them through any deli wrap collage or tissue paper collage. And I start with this set, cutting it up in rectangles, different directions, and this was made. Now this would have worked, would have taken the page in a somewhat different direction, but generally, yes, and it would have left it more just flat, and then I would have come in with another layer of texture with stenciling. And I don't want to use my dots all the time, though I really like them and I love what they do. So I'm just showing you that again, how different the page is compared to my intention. And maybe the intention wasn't so much the colors as to the layers. And that's what this page is about. It's experimenting with different sequences of layers. Coming in right away with big pieces of collage versus what I just did here with soft edges, stamping, stenciling, and then collage, and then maybe putting some line in there before. So and that's the intention in these next journal pages that I'm going to be uploading. We're going to experiment with different sequences of layers, and I think the best thing would to use the same palette for all, so that you could compare. So that would be a really interesting experiment, of course. And I'm loving, now this isn't even the transparent white, which, as you know from Liquitex, I've been using a lot in my previous videos. This is just the, what is it? Man, the names today are really titanium white, and it's just a little pushing that layer back, and I love it. So doing that, and then if you come in with a very strong black and white, high contrast. It looks really cool. So I'm searching around, and then I realize, wow, I really don't have these particular high contrast collage pieces on tissue paper that I need. So today, I'm uploading this Saturday night, by the way, for tomorrow, Sunday. And if you want to just get more behind the scenes, some more extra lessons, join the Facebook group, hop on over, because every Sunday I have Studio Sundays, and I'm getting better at what we're needing. But please leave a comment below, or leave a comment or a question in the Facebook group, so that you can let me know what kinds of tips or techniques that you're looking for. So then, so back to the page. So after that, I thought, okay, yes, some white, high contrast, but with white would be really great. And I didn't want circles, I didn't want curves or anything. So I just put those around. And as you can see, the collage pieces, they meet the criteria, high contrast, but they're just not working for me. And that blue, even though that would have worked if I stuck to that color palette or added the blue, the teal and the turquoise to it, but no. So I'm just going to save that for another page. So that's so I don't know what happened. Oh, I know what happened. So I apologize for the jump in my layers. My Osmo Pocket has been acting up and is just cutting out, and even though I fully charged it, so that's a technical glitch. We'll be working on that. So as you can see, I found a row of my circles stamp on tissue paper, and I decided to put those vertically all the way from top to bottom, and of course crop the top and the bottom circle. And then those 2 rows of white circles on black, I didn't want to put them across like I usually do, so I put them in the side. And then I decided to put some black paint just to add 3 different color areas. So the bottom is quite large, the black is narrower, and the top is larger than it. So they're different sizes. And then continuing with some black and white collage, because now black and white is looking really, really nice on this piece. And I'm loving how that thin layer of white pushed that whole geometric, those shapes and lines to the background. And of course use my finger using odd. So now I'm thinking, okay, I have lots of shapes, I have lots of contrasts, I have white, I have black, and I have midtones. So now it's time, and it's feeling like it's approaching to the end. Now I need some line. So I wanted an orange. I want to make the orange pop. I was going to use that stronger Hansa yellow, but I thought, no, that would be too much. And just that one diamond shape or rhombus shape, I decide to pick up some detail. And just because of its position, it's not in the center, and I like how it's cropped off with those the 6 circles. And it's vertical, while the one beside it is white and horizontal. So there's some great differences going on for the eye in this piece. And trying to be intuitive, respond, not think, and then come on back out and analyze. So it's quite a balance of things. So I found that little piece, and of course my camera sort of glitched out on me, so I had to let it charge up. So I did that, and decided, yeah. And that's what I do sometimes. If I'm not sure, I'll let it sit, maybe, an hour, and it depends how much time I have. And if I still like it, it goes there. But usually I know right away, and you do too, right? And you just know with your instincts. So why it works? The contrast is low. It's a different mark. It's a neutral. And then it also brings the eye down from the top. And I love my metallic liquid acrylic inks. And I didn't want to do dots so much. It's just some line. Just add a sparkle there. So as you can see, the upper area, the wider one with the polka dots and the 1.5 circles, you can see those layers behind there under the tissue paper, and also pushed back with the thin layer of white. We call this glazing. So I like to glaze in nickel azo gold, Payne's gray, white, or black, but very transparent. So here we go with the big drying, and the reveal is on its way. So if you're liking this content, even though, you're on my journey, it gets a little rough sometimes, and I choose to show that because I remember, in the beginning, I had no idea what I was doing, and it would have been great to, so there I am, know that other people struggled, no matter how advanced you are. And look at that, and you can see the white squares underneath that circle. There's so much that you can still see, and that's the beauty of layering. So, that's the focus for the next few videos. Different layering. I think next week, right away, I already know what I'm going to do, and I might even pop on, I don't want to get too overzealous because, as you know, I do have a full-time job. I am a full-time a teacher as well, and this is my hobby. It's a very serious hobby, and I just love it. So, got to be careful with the time. We're doing 2 videos a week, one for the Facebook group, one for this channel, and I'm really thinking of adding another one or doing some lives. So let me know what you would like to see in the comments below. So here we are, exploring layers, titling it underneath, and I love how I have my order of layers on the page below. So don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, share, and I totally enjoy doing this, and I will see you in the next video.